Well, our last speaker in this session has promised me that her korero will be robust. Dame Iritana Tawhiwhirangi is the founding CEO of the Te Kohanga Reo National Trust Board, which she has served on for 20 years. Her affiliations trace back to Ngāti Porou, Kahungunu, Ngāpuhi, England and Canada. She served on a number of notable bodies, Te Puni Kōkiri Advisory Group, the Police Advisory Group, Māori TV Electoral College, Spectrum Trust Electoral College, the New Zealand Council of Educational Research, and is the New Zealand Māori Golf Association Lady President, and has a handicap that many half her age would envy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dame Iritana Tawhiwhirangi.
Well, kia ora everybody. First of all, I've got bad news for Natalie. I'm 81 and I have every intention of living until I'm 150. So do I. Well, I really want to address this from another angle. I have to say that trying to get the backdrop of the world that's impacting on us is very important. But at the end of the day, and all of you, I look around and I think for every one of you I can see 1,000 people behind you. Because all of us, I'm saying, have a service, or we're providing a service for families. And no matter what we're talking about, at the end of the day, whether it's labour, education, justice, health, everybody cannot argue that they're not focused on the well-being of families. And so I want to start off by saying that I've long had a real concern about the welfare tag, and I just want to say that I feel that sometimes we get so caught up in that thinking that we actually miss the beat about focusing on well-being. Because the assumption is that if we can throw more dollars into what we're doing, we are going to improve the lives of families. And all of you will know, in the work we're doing, we do our best. But in the end, our best isn't good enough, in my view. And I listened this morning and it was money, 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 money. Now, nobody would deny that's an important resource. But for me, putting money into the work and effort that we are involved in... Is it too loud? Oh, okay. Putting money into what we're involved in is necessary, but my view is that all the money in the world coming in does not necessarily make a difference if we're not assessing the nature of our delivery. The litmus test at the end of the day, no matter where we're coming from, is those families. And for me, you know, I've lived a long time like some of you in the room, but I've seen the despair and the lack of dignity in families. Because why, folks? We spend a lot of energy and a lot of money in what I call the fix-it mentality. Everybody's running around to fix families. My question is, what are we doing so that families become their own fix-it people? But we harness their potential and we go in there not to do it for them, but to underpin and harness their talents. And I say that honestly because in 1970 when the gangs were at their worst, I had a lot to do with getting close to that crowd where most people ran the other way, and justifiably so. However, I just want to say that in getting close to them, and it took quite a while because they didn't like us anyway. I was in the Department of Maori Affairs at the time. They didn't like us, referred to us as a bunch of legalised crooks, that Maori Affairs Department was a Maori Affairs Department was a Maori Repairs Department. The welfare officers were elsewhere officers because they couldn't find us. And so, but the thing is, if that's their assessment of us, we better believe that there's underlying truth to what they're saying. Because we sometimes think that we're above criticism, we put a lot of energy in, and we don't take kindly to that sort of criticism, nor do we take time to stand still and take stock of how we are impacting on families. Because at the end of the day, that's where the key is. Are we programming people to opt out of responsibility? Are we focusing on families that gives them dignity, hope, purpose, responsibility, etc., etc., etc.? Are we? And I don't want to get it, I mean, all of you know what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean to say that we're not really, doing our best and going flat out. But you know, folks, I was at a forum recently on whānau order, and ain't that the flagship of today? And I listened to all the groups, a bit like here, everybody who's busy, everybody who's doing things, and I sat there and I was absolutely full of despair at the end, because good people, good organisations were there positioning themselves to see how they could get more money to do what they were doing. Now, that's fair enough if you're going to get it and try to do better. But in fact, if it's just coming in on top of what we were doing yesterday, which ain't working, and more money doesn't necessarily mean is going to be anything different. And so, you know what I'm talking about. I am saying that at the end of the day, the litmus test for all of us is how are those families growing, how are they taking responsibility, how are they motivated, because I'm not going to go the other way and say I've seen how the benefit system, warranted and all as it is for many of our people, is really unjustified in many instances. And I want to say, I'm just going to, in 2007, I did a few notes to a meeting I was speaking to, and I just want to read it because it has as much relevance, I guess, in my view anyway. I headed it towards making a difference. I said there are a myriad of groups, Maori groups, there's others, but I'm talking about Maori. There are a myriad of Maori groups and agencies that spend a great deal of time and energy in working to improve the well-being of Maori people. Despite this, there are major concerns that continue to escalate and challenge both the efforts of those of us well-intentioned and the financial resources applied thereto. It is time to consider moving from the external fix-it syndrome to one of engaging with whānau and, where necessary, the extended whānau in a manner that motivates them and harnesses their potential, which is what I just said. The issues plaguing society are many and well known. Currently, some of these are child abuse, drugs, da-da-da-da, we know them all. Obviously, all of these contribute to a society at risk, and all can be sourced to whānau breakdown.